Good morning, beloved friends. This is Awareness Moments with Kyra, and this is Friday. Let's see, what is it? Is it May 11th, May 12th? I don't know. It's one of those. No, it's June. It's definitely June. I lose track so quickly. I think we all do these days. And welcome, Kimberly Rosenthal, and all of you that will be joining us for these awareness moments and for the ways that you are living awareness in your lives every day. I am grateful because I think it is such an important thing right now for us to open ourselves to the power of living from a greater awareness and not going to sleep through or sleepwalk through our lives. Welcome, Mary Camp Cesarato, Curdy, as I know you, and so great to have you here, and so grateful to be with each of you. And Daryl Roberts, glad you're here, and Kimberly, good to see you from Arizona. And we are in a time that we know is such a powerful moment. And I think it's one that is inviting us to a deeper exploration of our own values. Welcome, E. Lopez Lockhart. And what I mean by that is not just, it's our values in terms of understanding them, but actually, how are we being and how are we living them? Because it's one thing to say, these are my values. Welcome, Christine, and God morning back to you, E. Lopez Lockhart. You know, it's one thing to say these are the values that I profess and that I give lip service to, but how am I being and living those values? In our Unity ministry, we actually, every Sunday, we speak our values out loud, and we say, in all that I am, all that I am and all that I live, I value. And I love that part of it, of actually identifying, first of all, that this is not just an idea or a concept of a value. This is about a way of being. The thing that I value is identified when you know me, when you experience the way I live my life. My values are evident because it is a demonstration, and it takes paying attention on an everyday, every moment basis. At this time, we're looking at the big things that are up in our world and the transformation of our times, and it is shaking us all to the core. And we get to say, who am I really being? And how am I showing up on an every moment basis? I say I'm this, but am I really? In my innermost being, what questions arise? Now, I'm not saying to use this as a battering ram against ourselves in any way, but instead to use this as a place to motivate ourselves to really clarify the values that we're living. And then to notice how our life is or is not demonstrating the values that we say we are committed to. And I invite us to look at the places where our commitment lives. Welcome, Leanne and Amy. Glad to have you both here. And as we look at our commitment to our values of who I'm being and then how I'm living them out, I notice, where do I put my thought energy? Where do I put my feelings and emotions? Are they really in alignment with what I say I value? Am I putting my time energy into things that really unify and bring forth those values that I express into the world? That everything I am expresses those very values. Welcome, Terry. Glad to have you. And it is so important for us. And welcome. Glad you guys are saying hi from the Unity Church of the Hills, from Curdy and Paris. Glad you're here. And it is such an important time for us to start to notice, where have I said I value this, but I actually don't walk that talk. I'm out of alignment with myself. I'm out of integrity with the deeper level of living that value. I value it in the moment that it rises up, but I really don't put any time or energy or money into it. Those are things where we can look at our calendar and looking at our checkbook. You'll identify what you value. It is always a powerful thing to do. Hey, Terry. And so in this time, I think we get to go deeper into ourselves in profound ways. that we, even if it's just slight shifts in the way that I'm expressing or the way that I'm showing up in a moment, my ability to listen. If I say I want to be a good listener, but am I really listening? Or that I care about what other people have to offer and their gifts or their way, do I really engage those or not? Or am I busy telling my view of the world versus listening to others' perspectives, learning from others? Am I open and flexible to learn and grow and become a better person? I mean, these are ways that we begin to see, does my value really show up? That I say I want to be a learner, I want to be experiencing my divine guidance, and I want to see how it shows up in the world, and I want to believe that the world is a powerful, beautiful place that is moving us to greater good all the time. But am I believing that in the midst of circumstances that look different than that in the moment? These are great questions when we start to look at our values deeper and how I'm being that. It's not always so much on the big things. It's in the little things or in the inner thoughts. Or I said this, but I couldn't hold and sustain that in my inner thoughts and in my feelings about something. It's triggered something, and I showed up as less than I wanted to show up in a moment. So I get to say, oh, how am I choosing to live those values? Welcome Misty and Jeff and Lisa and Ramona. So glad you're all with us. And I'm so glad for each one of you, because I know you're people that are working to live and be that which you value and to express it really clearly with your life. And this is the key, is that where do I still have confusion about what's important to me? And I go along with it when it's convenient, rather than really committed to it, even when others are feeling differently. Or the world would tell us to be, if I believe that love is powerful over fear, do I then really hold that in the midst of the things that would create a lot of fear in myself, or the world would tell me I should be fearful? Do I hold steadfast in a purity of consciousness to that which I say are my most important values? If I value unconditional love, I don't know that I know how to unconditionally love. That is a divine idea that is available to me, and I'm always learning to open to that and to notice where I had some conditions on that situation. Sometimes they're subtle. Sometimes they're not so subtle. But I realize I don't know that I loved unconditionally. And if that's something I value, what is that? To stay as a constant learner of how that acts within me, how that plays out in my way of being, how it plays out in my way of showing up with others. How many times do I choose judgment over unconditional love? I choose judgment over self-acceptance. So therefore, I'm not really in unconditional love. And so we throw and banter these words around, and we say, this is what I value. But I'm inviting us to go deep in and to say, and how do I show up in situations that make me uncomfortable? In situations where it's unknown, and therefore my fears are up, or my thinking I know. Boy, that's a big one for us, right? We think we know something. I say the more I think I know something, the more trouble I'm in. I really have to know that I have, at one level, we have the knowing of the infinite. But another level, I have so many filters that I'm not even aware are running me. And what happens when I become curious and go deeper into the exploration of my values is I start to notice the places where I have filters that are not really fulfilling and that which I say I wish to fulfill in my way of being and in the way I live my life. I say I want to be green environmentally. Well, I do to a level, but where is it I draw that line about how inconvenient I will let that be to me. How I will go the extra effort to make my life, in alignment with the earth and the environment. Do I go the extra yard with that, the extra mile with that? And I recognize there's places in me where I do, and there's times where, I'm going for convenience in a moment. And I think that it's a piece that we get to say, again, I don't need to be upset with myself. That doesn't serve anyone. But I can notice and begin to say, what other choice might I make? If this is my value, what would be another way that I can express that? How clearly can I make a small decision here and a small decision here and a small decision here, and they add up to a transformation where I'm truly living into my values more powerfully? Whew, everybody take a breath. Yeah, let go your, oh gosh, I can see all the places I don't, right? And we are good at that in our world. So one of our values may be that we want to live according to a more positive way of being. And yet our first response is to look at what's wrong instead of what's right. So it's interesting to start to notice when we become, focused on the idea of playing out and living from our values, then what happens is what shows up for us are the places where that's not exactly how we've been playing the game. And so we get to recognize and again, give ourselves the freedom of love and forgiveness and just make a slight different choice. Where can I make those small changes that result ultimately in big results? Is to get where we want to experience the fullness of that for ourselves. We get to first kind of just allow ourselves to notice where we're not, but then notice all the places you are. So if you do tend to notice where you're not first, which is what we tend to do as human beings, take time to notice where you are living your values. How can I enhance and expand that side of myself and start to live more into that value? So as I do that and I begin to enhance that area of my life and I start to pay attention to that instead of paying attention to where I'm not, okay, guess what? Energy flows where our thoughts go. So if our thoughts are going to how I expand and increase and develop my values even more, then all of a sudden I'm adding my energy to that side of the equation. So I want to invite you that as you look at these values and you're going to notice both things, it's okay because you're dropping away the filters by seeing them clearly and making a different choice. But also focus your energy on how you expand all the ways you are living into your values. This is such an important piece. So what I know is that I'm talking to those that are really looking at their values continually, looking to expand and lift their way of being so it's in alignment with the world that we choose to create, where everyone is on board with a higher sense of value, a sense of owning their own value, recognizing the value of one another, of choosing values that really bring harmony and love and peace into their lives. Inclusivity is one of the ones I love. And yet I also recognize that I have more to do in that. I have more to do in that as well as I do with so many places. So I love you all and appreciate you and thank you for focusing your energy, your thoughts. Exactly, Jeff Lobeck, where focus goes, energy flows. Where we focus. And so as we do that, we focus our energy on the values that we choose to increase. And we will be that presence for the world. And it'll be amazing to you. As you focus your energy that way, you'll have people telling you how you have lived your value to them in ways that you so did not expect, because they will reflect back to you exactly what you're focusing on. So let's focus on those values and bring them to life. And find creative ways to do that. I love you, friends. Have a fabulous Friday, and may you feel the power and the blessing of the values that you bring to life in our world. I am grateful for you. God bless, friends.